Okay, we're ready to begin loading our summary trial balances or monthly historical financial statements into NetSuite. Okay, so there's two approaches to preparing and loading these summary trial balances into NetSuite. The first approach is what I call the net change approach. And this is essentially where we would load an opening balance sheet and then we'd create a journal entry for the incremental change within each month or quarter of loading the journal entry. And so you're kind of producing the net change amount. The second approach is what I call a trial balance approach or point in time approach. And what we do in this approach is we'll prepare a trial balance as a journal entry, and then we load those balances as of the point in time, and then the next day we reverse that journal entry. And we just do this up until the go live date. And at that point, we don't reverse the journal entry. And there's pros and cons to each. I have linked in the class notes section 2 blog articles that I've written that provide a good overview for each of these approaches, and I'd recommend reading through that for a little bit more detail. The primary consideration in my mind is 1, what's your volume of transactions? And 2, are you going to include other segments in those journal entries besides the account? And the reason is the trial balance report in QuickBooks won't allow you to include a class or department. And so that makes the trial balance approach less ideal if you're going to include those segment values in those monthly journal entries. Okay, now let's talk about the timing of doing this work, right? So I would recommend you do these loads in 2 batches at least. The first batch would be the majority of the data. So in the example that I'm going to go through in the next couple videos, we're going to assume that we're just loading our 2023 data. In your case, you might be loading a little bit more. Let's say you're going to load 21, 22, and 23. But for our purposes in this class, I'm just doing 23. So I'm going to load, let's say it's the data through September has been locked and those numbers are closed. And so I can load that first 9 months of 2023 now. And the benefit of doing that is 1, I'm going to get a good amount of practice at preparing these journal entries. 2, I'm going to do most of the work ahead of time when I don't have the pressure of a go live in a day or 2. And 3rd, the benefit is that if you get a little bit of data into your NetSuite instance, when you're doing your training, your user acceptance testing, when you run a P&L or balance sheet, you see your actual numbers in there. So those are the benefits of kind of doing that first batch. And then the second batch would be done, the week of go live after you've closed QuickBooks and you're no longer entering transactions. And so this is when you would load that Q4 data. And then, now you've done most of the data ahead of time, so you only have 3 months instead of 9 months. If it takes you a long time to prepare that 9 months of data, then maybe you split that into a third batch where the week before go live, then we're going to load October, November, and we make sure we lock those months in QuickBooks. And then, the weekend of go live after we've closed, then we're just doing December. That's really up to you, but that's part of the benefit of setting this up in batches. You kind of can get a sense for how long this is going to take you. Finally, there's 2 kind of more advanced considerations that you might want to watch that are in the back of the course. The first one is on FX considerations, and then the second one's on intercompany multiple subsidiary. If these are definitely much, add some wrinkles to your the data migration, and I'd recommend maybe watching those videos if those are relevant for you. But for the sake of the example, I'm not going to really touch on those, and so I'd recommend watching those towards the end of the class, especially if that's relevant for you. Okay, with that, let's jump into the prerequisite videos where we are preparing for the summary trial balance loads.